Dirty secrets lie in the shadows, waiting for the light. Talking story round kitchen table, clear as black and white. Black and white, black and white. How many lives have been taken? How many names we don't know? How many locked up in cages with dreams nowhere to go? Nowhere to go, nowhere to go. He's my son, he's my brother, he's my husband, he's my lover, she's my sister, she's my mother, she's my friend, she's my other, he's my son, my brother, he's my husband, he's my lover, she's my sister, she's my mother, she's my friend, she's my other. Black lives matter, black lives matter, black lives matter to me, matters to me. Since slavery and lynching, since don't have a Chinaman's chance, since cowboys stole the Indians, your land is my land, your land is my land. This system gives permission to the one with the biggest gun. But remember David and Goliath, little David won. David won, little David won. In the moonlight or the sun, Baltimore or Ferguson, in your home or in the hood, Compton or Hollywood, in the alley or your car, Charleston or New York, in the subway or the street, Brooklyn or Royal Heights. Black lives matter, black lives matter, black lives matter to me. He's my son, my brother. He's my husband, my lover. She's my sister, my mother, my friend. He's my son, he's my brother, he's my husband, he's my lover, she's my son. She's my mother, my brother, my friend, my other husband. He's my son, he's my brother, he's my husband, he's my lover, she's my sister, she's my mother, my friend, my other. In the moonlight or the sun, Baltimore or Ferguson, in your home or in the hood, Compton or Hollywood, in the alley or your car, Charleston or New York, in the subway or the street, Brooklyn or Royal Heights. Hey-oh. Baltimore and Ferguson. Everybody knows about Charleston. Everybody knows about Mississippi. Goddamn. Everybody knows about Emmett Till and Oscar Grant, Eric Garner, I Can't Breathe, and Sandra Bland. How many lives have been taken? How many names we don't know? How many locked up in cages with dreams, nowhere to go? lives matter. Black lives matter.
Hello, all. It means so much to have you all come back. And for today's plenary, it was undeniable to start our program with Nobuko Miyamoto, a legend, iconic, and an inspiration for many, especially Asian Americans who heard their story being told and reflected in her music and art. Nobuko's art speaks about activism and roots itself in identity and history. And if you aren't familiar with Nobuko's work, please check out Great Leap, started in 1978, initially focused on creative work about, for, and by Asian American artists. And after the 1992 LA uprising, she redirected Great Leap's work toward inter-ethnic connection and collaboration. So the hope for today is to center on what Nobuko has been an incredible example of: the powerful connection to knowing our history to spark, motivate, fuel our activism through Taiko and our artistic voices.
Hello, everyone. It is good to see you. Welcome to plenary number 2. And for folks who recently registered, like Friday, welcome. My name is Karen Young, and I'm the co-organizer for this event with Michelle. Michelle and I designed many checkpoints for engagement throughout this virtual program: facilitator meetings and virtual hangouts and homework, reviewing your narratives on how you are currently practicing awareness and anti-racism. We are reminded that our Taiko ecosystem is just that. Our ecosystem is richly diverse and vast. We are taking a hard look at ourselves, our communities, as well as the very systems and institutions in which we live, which includes institutions like healthcare, education, or law enforcement. This week, we challenge ourselves to dig deeper. We're talking about activism. These conversations are complicated and messy, and that's okay. We need everyone to be engaged and stay engaged. Just like preparing for a performance, we need many people doing many things. Some people are better at loading the van, while others are good at remembering to bring snacks. Not everyone needs to be protesting in the streets. Some need to be having hard conversations at home or at our workplaces. Come outside and be outside your comfort zone today. Don't sit back. Share a different perspective. Exercise your muscles. We are in training. We need to grow in order for change to take place.
Yeah, so knowing our narratives of our Taiko ecosystem. There are many, many stories. And this week, I had the privilege of hearing 10 stories from 10 Taiko leaders who shared their perspectives of their lived experiences that transcends into many movements: civil rights movement, anti-war movement, and the recognition of defining Asian Americanness and Asian Canadianness. Taiko has an intrinsic connection to activism, especially here in North America. And I am so grateful that we can hear some of these stories and histories today.
I guess we didn't really call it activism at that time. I guess we called it more community organizing, because we just felt it was really important to do things to kind of help organize the community. And we also kind of felt that the best way to do that was not just to suggest things and offer things from the outside, but we had to be in the community to kind of do that. So a lot of us moved from San Jose State, moved into Japantown to actually live in the area to start doing that. In order to try to start these programs we wanted to do.
I became very involved in the issue of the Vietnam War, and also, 3 things really. getting Asian American studies started at San Jose State. That was one of the things. And then the other thing is really establishing an identity of being Asian American and what that meant.
When I went to UCLA, that's where I did my first 2 years, I was searching for something different, something new. I could not relate to the sororities and the fraternities. And this was a time of the anti-war movement. So I actually first got involved with the Asian community with a newspaper, which is a radical newspaper at the time, called Ghidra.
The whole Third World Strikes period had just preceded when I was in high school. That was going on. One of my cousins was active at San Francisco State. My sister was a year or two older, had gone off to college and started sending me copies of Ghidra, movement newspaper, which I started reading.
Seeing people who are very much community organizers, and at the same time, they're feeling a different kind of movement. It's a different movement, and it's through self-expression. It's through music. It's hearing our stories in a different way. And that's what inspired me. That's what I remembered. And then when I came to San Jose and saw the beginning of Taiko, I felt the same very seed of energy.
San Jose Taiko, they were like us. They were sensei, they were mixed men and women, and they laughed, and they had fun, and they were powerful. And then they were billeted with us, amongst the community, and they encouraged all of us that we should do it. And so we did. And we did start out with the notion that we wanted to be a strong Asian presence in the performing arts and a strong presence of women who would break down stereotypes of what an Asian woman is.
There was just a lot of nurturing going on. And so because of that, the activism that we practice, I think, was passed to us from generations past, when you really think about it. Activism isn't just based on politics, but it's just based on doing work in your community.
I guess there's both similarities and differences. One thing I appreciate of the current moment is that it's brought into very front of the mind, stark relief how our history has led to where we are today. So I think that's been an eye-opening thing for a lot of people, that hard work and visible success isn't going to protect you when the gaze turns your way, the racist gaze turns your way. And what we're finding out is that, or people should have known before, but at least they're starting to realize it now, is that that's how Blacks have lived since they arrived in this country, that they've always had a target on their back. They've always had the racist gaze turned towards them.
When the pandemic started, and then the Black Lives Movement, and then you throw on top of that just the incredible disparity that a pandemic brings out in terms of how our society is structured. All that, just all going on at the same time. And I realized that, I felt like I was back in the 60s.
We are being challenged with, at a time that, with COVID and everything else, it's like how to be creative. And I think that's the exciting part, that people are searching and wanting and almost being like, I have to do this, have to do this. But it's at the same time calling people to call themselves inward, to really find those values inside, and how is it coming together in solidarity with another in a very genuine way. You know, how do we build together?
So what you put your energy into is all up to you. But to make change, one has to change oneself, change within oneself first. And that requires a lot of self-reflection and learning about others, and not only people, racism, police brutality, inequalities, but also about what's going on in the world as well. For example, global warming and land desecration. And talking to others and learning from others is very important. So what everyone is doing, coming to these meetings right now, is a step in the right direction, I think. And change starts from each one of us. So please, I say, just keep on being inquisitive and talking to people, getting together and talking to each other, and hopefully we can make some change for the future, not only for ourselves, but for our children.
One of my hopes out of this session is that other people are coming out of this to kind of step forward and be the leaders to do that. And I recognize a lot of folks in the room that can definitely be that person, that leader.
I think we also have to move beyond being a victim and working toward transforming society so that these things don't happen and that better things come out of this. So I think music, and Taiko in particular, can have a role in that. It's not simply to entertain people. It can be entertaining, but I think Taiko has that power to heal, to transform, to change society. So I think looking at it from that point, there's a way that people who play Taiko can have a different role in this movement that's going on right now.
I've been thinking a lot about compassion and what does that mean? You know, being a Buddhist, and you have that background too, you know that that's a word thinking that's, you know, part of Buddhism. And it's interpreted many different ways. And to me, you know, I look at compassion as not just being compassionate or the feeling of compassion, but I think of compassion as a verb. So, you know, you can have a lot of empathy, you can have a lot of sympathy, but how does that translate to compassion, which to me is a more active expression of all that?
Well, what you witnessed just now is just a very, very tiny segment of longer conversations. So many rich stories, and it was incredibly hard to make decisions on what to include. Thank you so much to the 10 Taiko leaders listed in the chat that is about to be listed right now for graciously giving time to talk with me this week. And we want you to hear all their words. I know that some of you have already been asking about how you can access this video. Well, we are excited right now to actually launch today a website because it became very clear that we wanted to have a depository for all of the things that we have been learning and growing with. So this is a website that has been hosted by Unit Solzal, and it's going to be a depository for learning about the project, but also shared resources. So here are some shared resources from some of the discussion topics where some discussion topic leaders have graciously given maybe some of the content that they are bringing in. Also, the stories, you may remember in the homework, we asked for blog posts, and We really want to hear from all of you. What is your journey? Thank you to the 5 people who have given their personal story of what week 1 was like for them. And we hope and welcome more and also continuation as well. And lastly, this is where you all might be asking right now, the Activism interviews. These are actually going to be a depository of video diaries. It's going to include the video that you saw today, but also the interviews and full-length conversations that I had with all 10 of the folks that I interviewed over the past 4 days. I also wanted to highlight in the video diaries some things that are coming up. One is that we're going to be putting our plenary sessions in here, as well as we have some video diaries that all the facilitators will be contributing to. I know that that was put out where the website is, and so we hope that you'll check it out following our program and even throughout this week. But witnessing the power of transformation through art. Somebody very close to me who has been a longtime friend and an artist who has greatly inspired even my personal trajectory to think about activism and anti-racism in my artistic work is Byron Awyang. Byron composes songs of dislocation, music for a changing world. He is an assistant professor of music and performing arts and social justice at the University of San Francisco. And I've asked him to talk briefly about one of his projects, Activist Songbook, 53 raps and songs to counteract hate and energize movements based on interviews and stories of Asian American, Asian immigrant, and Asian refugee organizers. So I'd love, Byron, if you could take it on.
Hi everyone, I'm Byron Awyang. I'm a composer. I was active in the Taiko community in the 90s and early 2000s and left, but have always felt an affinity for Taiko players. Some of my best friends are part of this community. So I thank you for inviting me back and for including Activist Songbook. One of the things we're doing is I think a lot of the community organizing does start with this individual work of how do we change ourselves? And a lot of that comes from grief. And there's an enormous amount of grief in the world right now. And so one of my questions as a composer, as a musician, is how does the human rights organizing and music intersect to inspire, oh, I'm not muted, to inspire action and sustain the fight towards equity. So Activist Songbook came about shortly after the current president was elected, and so much hate was being spewed through Twitter. And so I was, in this immense grief, and then noticed that many of my teachers who are here were doing the work, right? They were continuing to be on the front lines. And I'm like, how are you continuing to be there? Like how do you care for yourself? And so I thought, is there a way that I can create a collection of songs to energize myself, as well as counteract the hate and racism and xenophobia that's being spewed? So what we're doing is we're interviewing Asian American immigrants, Asian American refugees, as well as Asian Americans who, some of them consider themselves activists, some of them consider themselves organizers, some of them consider themselves whistleblowers. And we're collecting these and turning them into songs. And by we, I compose music, and then I have a writer who's based in New Haven, Connecticut, Aaron Jafaris, and we're working with the people we interview to create these songs. So what you're going to hear is a song called There Will Be Joy. It's an interview of PJ and Roy Hirabayashi. I'm very grateful that so many Taiko players also stepped in, including Michelle Fujii and Toru Watanabe, Yuta Kato, and from San Jose, Taiko Franco Imperial stepped in as well to play the Taiko. And there are other voices in the mix as well. And these other voices are not Taiko players, but they're people who are engaged in organizing. And one of my favorite lyrics out of this collection of Activist Songbook comes from this interview, and it's, even when we're angry, there will be joy. Know that all of these songs are under a Creative Commons license, so please use whatever you need. And I think in the chat, there'll be a link to Activist Songbook. Okay, there will be joy.
Anti-war movement. Asian American students took me in. They're righteous and they're loud. I thought, how can they do that? My parents would always tell me that you cannot make any trouble or speak of our internment. Be silent. When I begin Taiko, for them it is the end. When we're organizing, there will be joy. Even when we're angry, there will be joy. Our movements succeeding and bursting through the earth. Through our bodies, joy. Through our bodies, joy. How can things work together? We can make a conflict of rhythm, a conflict of tempo. In music we can be uncivil and then come together, unify, Taiko. When we're organizing, there will be joy. Even when we're angry, there will be joy. Our movements succeeding and passing through the earth.
Thank you, Byron and Aaron, for that beautiful and moving composition. That piece came out at a time when I was literally frozen with grief in this last period of time. And it was actually your music that kind of burst things open for me. I was able to actually cry and feel. And I think that line in particular, even through our anger, there will be joy, is so incredibly powerful. The essence of the song is critical. We will be much more effective in every way if we can remember joy. With joy, there's room for compassion. With joy, there is strength. Joy feeds our endurance. And we have to remember that through our body's joy, a reminder that our work involves our bodies. And so, before we head into our sessions, I would like to welcome back Debbie Lynn, who was with us last time from Connected Body, who will lead us in a moment of breath and body.
Thank you. Let's start with bringing our hands in front of our chest, and we will think back to the plus sign in the middle of our chest. As we inhale, we'll expand vertically, and exhale, soften. Switch the hand on top, inhale and expand. Move your body along your breath, and exhale, relax. Let's switch horizontally, expand as you breathe in. And exhale, release. Again, inhale, widen. And let's exhale, let everything out. We'll repeat again, vertically expand. And let it sigh out. Switch the hand on top, inhale. And exhale, relax. Horizontally expand. Exhale, let it release. One more time, inhale. And exhale, let it go. Now we'll just sit comfortably. We'll spiral our arms down and then bring the palms up. As we exhale, we reach the arms down as if we're digging down into the earth and grabbing handfuls of soil up. Exhale down and inhale, bring it back up. Exhale down and inhale up. Again. Two more. One more time. Now we brush down the sides of our body and push out and widen. Exhale, brush down, and inhale, imagine we're pushing the walls away. Exhale down, inhale, spread. Exhale down, inhale, spread. Two more, exhale down. Inhale, spread. One more time, exhale down. Inhale, spread. We reach the arms forward as we curl our body back. And then we crack our chest open as we pull our elbows back. Exhale here. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale back. Inhale, open. And breathe out. Breathe in and out. And in. Open the back as you curl back, and open the heart as you bring it forward. And exhale back and bring it forward. Two more. And breathe in. One more time. And bring it in. And give yourself a hug and slightly tilt to your right. And then carve the space around you as you open the chest up diagonally. And then switch to the other side. Curl and hug yourself. And then expand and carve through the space. Curl and exhale. Inhale, feel like you're breaking the shell. Exhale. And break free. And again, exhale. Inhale, break through. Exhale. And breathe in. One more each side. Exhale. And breathe in. Exhale and breathe in. Now I want you to think about as if you're swimming upward. Inhale, you swim up, reach, and exhale, relax. Inhale, reach, and exhale, relax. 2 more. One more time. And rest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Embodiment, we are really trying to think about that, how our body is going into our learning. And so with that, you are now going to be redirected into your breakout rooms. Please join when prompted. And I really welcome all of you to think about this plenary.